of the week is the SPL Transient Designer Plus. This is another update to a very famous plugin from the Plugin Alliance, the Transient Designer. Very powerful emulation of an actual hardware piece. So some of these hardware pieces are sort of revolutionary and things that people would do, engineers would do with compressors in terms of playing with the attack and release time and those types of things. But the control is limited in terms of exactly how much you can do and where you can do it. Whereas in a plugin formulation like this, you can actually work a little bit more in a multi-band way, and this is far more intelligent as well. So one of the things that this is added in to sort of make the transient detection that's different from most plugins is that it does not work on a threshold basis. It works on a thing called DET, which is Differential Envelope technology. And the basic idea of the plugin then is that you can control and accentuate the attack or transient peak and the sustain of the signal. So a classic thing to bring in, which would be a kick drum. Now, and I'll kind of demonstrate that. You have the link control here that allows you to link the left and right side. So if you bring it in on a percussive material where there's a lot of left-right movement, you can unlink it and then it will respond independently as opposed to keeping that transient processing the same on both the left and the right. And there's a soft limiter built in. So you have that. If you want to crank it up and really power it in, then you got a parallel mix control. Now, what they've added on is a whole sidechain filter. And on the sidechain filter, this allows you to sweep and focus on particular frequencies so you can focus the activity of the actual transient designer's work to make it more accurate and more fundamentally solid. You also have an output gain control over here. So with the parallel mix control, the sidechain feature, including an external sidechain, meaning that you can feed something like a kick drum into a bass and have that start to affect the sustain and attack characteristics of the bass as fed in from the kick drum. So we may play around a little bit with that. All right, so let's start with a kick drum and just kind of focus on the basic elements and implement the sidechain just so you can kind of see what the plus side of this processor is. So you can see the gain reduction here. So I can soften the attack or accentuate the attack. And I can also work with the sustain or lessen the sustain. And if I want to exaggerate the controls, then mix it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of balance this off a little bit better. And it adds like a really nice focus, in this case to a drum stem. I'm putting it on, but you could just as easily, it's kind of more targeted towards individual instruments, so you're not getting as much interference. I'm just doing this for a simple demonstration, and you can also kind of hear how it works. I want to show you here the sidechain feature. So I can enable the sidechain. So now the sidechain is basically a split of the input signal as I set it up here, and I can solo that sidechain signal. So I can focus on the element that is triggering what's going on. Now, if there's a mix of different elements, say like in a drum loop, this gives you the ability to sort of filter down to what it is that you want the transient designer to respond to more. So you can focus in on that individual element of what's going on there. And then this will help to target more of the actual work. And with that signal in here, it's a little bit sharper, a little bit more focused, and that's kind of a really cool way of kind of you know, dialing that in or toning that in, particularly on the attack, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to back off on that just a touch. And then of course I have an output gain attenuation. So one other thing here, and I haven't played around with this at all, so this could be completely disastrous or it could be really cool. Let's kind of see what ends up happening here. I have also this on a bass. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to send this off into a bus. Let me pick a bus that's not being used. Bus 53 looks as good as any. And so I'm going to route this. So your plugin host may or may not have this feature or capability with the sidechain. I'm not sure how that translates to all the different platforms, but you have to check that out yourself. So what I have here now is this. I'm going to feed this pre-fader so that if I create any movement, it's not affecting what's going on. And now I'll have a bass signal. And now what I want to do here is now, ideally, I want to be feeding this from the kick drum track directly, not from... So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move this send over to the kick drum track itself and kind of bring that... So there may be a latency there because I'm hearing this too, and then you're getting the latency from the plugin. That's why you're getting the flam there, because I'm hearing the original signal as well. All right, so that's going to be the transient signal here. So let's just see if I kind of work with these two guys together. And then I'll cue myself back up here. So I can have this kind of press or pop a little bit with the sidechain signal feeding it in. And I can have it lighten up or drive the bass signal a little bit more. Now, on this end, what I may want to do is maybe focus on this to kind of sharpen up exactly where it's keying. Just to kind of get that to pump and breathe a little bit, kind of drop down a little bit of the low end, push a little bit of the attack of the note of the bass, and this just kind of wing it. Whether it's a big difference or a minor difference, I guess you have to be the judge on that. and maybe there's a little bit more work on here I could do with that to set up a better demo. But just to give you an idea of how you can use that as a sidechain component and get that to work. So all little bugs aside, in terms of my setup and getting that demonstration set up, very powerful plugin. Many people are very familiar with this, and the new features are a welcome addition. So very cool one. The SPL TD Plus by the Plugin Alliance. Another new plugin release or update release, and a very cool one.